6:47 p.m. Tuesday. You walked in for three things: milk, eggs, bread. That's a 4-minute trip. In, out, done. 41 minutes later, you're standing at the checkout, looking at a cart you don't fully remember filling. $146 and change. You didn't lose control back there. Nobody forgot the budget. You got outthought by a building. Because that store you just walked out of, the one with the friendly logo and the guy in the apron telling you to have a nice day, it was never built to sell you groceries. It was built to make you forget you ever had a plan. Stick around, because by the end of this video, every grocery store you walk into for the rest of your life is going to look different to you, and you're probably going to be a little angry about it. Act 1, the trap. So here's the trap, and it starts before you're even fully through the door. The empty runway. The first 10 or 15 feet inside almost every grocery store are, on purpose, nearly empty. Some flowers, a seasonal display, nothing you actually came for. Retail designers call it the decompression zone. Your brain needs a few seconds to switch out of getting through traffic mode and into browsing mode. So the store gives you a buffer, specifically so your guard is down by the time the real store starts. The leash. Notice something next time you're in one. You almost never walk in a straight line to what you need. You loop the whole perimeter. Milk, eggs, bread, the three things nearly everyone buys on nearly every trip, are never near the entrance. They're at the back, usually on opposite corners from each other. That's not random. That's a leash. It drags you past the bakery, the deli, the 12-foot wall of chips, before you're allowed to leave with the boring stuff you actually came in for. And most people, walking through an open door, drift right without thinking about it. A pattern retail researchers have measured for decades. So most American stores are built to send you counterclockwise on purpose, because a shopper moving counterclockwise spends more time in the building and more money than one moving clockwise. Eye level is buy level. Ever notice the brand name cereal sits right at your eye line and the cheaper store brand is down by your knees? That's not a coincidence, and it isn't free. Brands pay for that shelf space. It's called a slotting fee, and it can run into the tens of thousands of dollars per product, per store, just to occupy the exact height where your eyes naturally land. Even the cereal marketed straight at kids gets placed at kid eye level, about 3 feet off the ground. That's not an accident either. The end cap lie. Those big displays at the end of every aisle, most shoppers assume that's where the deals live. Most of the time, it isn't. End caps are prime real estate the store sells to the highest bidding brand. The sale sign next to it is doing more work than the actual discount underneath it. Manufactured senses. That bread smell hitting you the second you walk in? In plenty of stores, that's not fresh bread. That's a scent system, pumping baked good aroma through the vents on purpose. Because the smell of baking bread makes people hungrier, and hungry shoppers buy more of everything, not just bread. The lighting over the produce is tuned too. Specific bulbs chosen to make fruit and vegetables look riper and more colorful than they actually are. And the music. Slow tempo, low volume through the middle of the day to keep you walking slower and browsing longer. Right before closing, faster tracks to move you toward the door. The price illusion. Now the money itself. A price ending in 0.99 feels dramatically cheaper than the same price rounded up 1 single cent, even though your brain knows better. It's called charm pricing, and it's one of the most tested, most reliable tricks in all of retail. Then there's the little tag showing the unit price, supposedly there to help you compare products fairly. Except two brands sitting right next to each other often get measured in different units on purpose. One priced per ounce, the other priced per 100 grams. Now try doing that math in your head, standing in an aisle while a toddler pulls on your sleeve. And the packaging itself has been quietly shrinking for years. Same price, same size box, less product inside. A candy bar, a bag of chips, a tub of ice cream that used to be 64 ounces and is now, somehow, 48. Economists call it shrinkflation. Everybody else just calls it getting robbed slowly enough that you don't notice. The final ambush. Right when your defenses are at their lowest, you're tired, you're done, your kid is melting down, you just want to leave. That's exactly where they stack the candy. The last 15 feet of your trip aren't for groceries. They're a last chance, engineered around the exact moment your willpower runs out. Multiply all of it by the 50 plus grocery trips the average household makes in a year, and conservatively, you're looking at well over $1,000 a year, quietly leaving your account for things that were never on your list. That's the trap. Now, here's who built it. Act 2, the rise of the science. Turn the clock back. 1916, Memphis, Tennessee. Before this year, grocery shopping looked nothing like it does now. You'd walk in, hand a list to a clerk behind a counter, and the clerk would walk the shelves for you and hand your items over. You never touched the products yourself. You never browsed. You couldn't impulse buy something you never even saw. Then a grocer named Clarence Saunders opened a store called Piggly Wiggly, and he flipped the entire model. For the first time, customers walked the aisles themselves, picked their own products off the shelf, and carried them to the register. He even patented the layout, a single turnstile entrance, one winding path through every department, no shortcuts, no way out except past everything the store had to offer. Saunders sold it as freedom, lower prices because you needed fewer clerks, convenience because you could see exactly what you were buying. And it was true. Piggly Wiggly's prices really were lower. But he'd also invented something else, whether he fully understood it yet or not: exposure. For the first time in retail history, a store could put a product directly in front of a customer who never planned to buy it, and simply being seen was often enough. Self-service didn't just change how groceries got sold, it created an entirely new surface for manipulation, one aisle at a time. Fast forward, post-war America. Supermarkets multiply into the thousands, suburbs sprawl, competition explodes, and stores start fighting each other over the same customers, block by block. That's the moment grocery retail stops being a trade and starts becoming a science. By the 70s and 80s, chains are hiring actual retail anthropologists, researchers who sit inside stores for weeks, tracking real shoppers with hidden cameras and stopwatches, timing exactly how long you pause in front of a shelf, which way your eyes move, how close another person has to get before you flinch and abandon an aisle early. That last one actually has a name in the industry. Researchers found that shoppers brushed from behind in a crowded aisle would often abandon that aisle entirely, mid-decision, purchase unfinished. So stores widened their aisles on purpose, just to stop you from leaving before you'd finish spending. This wasn't guesswork anymore. It was measured, tested, and repeated. An entire discipline built around extracting more money from the exact same human walking the exact same building. And then it got personal. In the 80s and 90s, stores started handing out savings cards. Sign up, get a keychain tag, unlock the member price. It felt like a gift. It wasn't a gift. It was a tracking device you volunteered to carry. Because now, every item you ever bought was tied to your name. Not just what, how often, in what combinations, and exactly when your habits changed. Multiply that across millions of shoppers for decades, and a company doesn't just know what's in your cart, it starts predicting what's going to be in it before you do. You've probably heard some version of this next story. A major retailer's data team built a model that could flag, statistically, which shoppers were likely pregnant, based on nothing but small shifts in what they bought. Unscented lotion, certain vitamins, a slightly bigger bag. It got accurate enough that one father stormed into a store, furious that his teenage daughter had been mailed coupons for cribs and baby clothes, accusing the company of practically encouraging her to get pregnant. He called back a few weeks later to apologize. His daughter really was pregnant. The algorithm had noticed before he did. That's not a glitch. That's the system finally working exactly the way it was built to. Act 3, the mask slips. For over 100 years, this whole system ran quietly in the background. Layout, lighting, scent, shelf height, all of it hidden inside the architecture, easy to miss unless you already knew to look for it. Then, in 2024, the mask slipped. In public, on the record. Grocery chains across the country started ripping out paper price tags and replacing them with digital ones, electronic shelf labels wired into a central computer, able to change any price in any store in seconds. No more printing, no more a guy with a pricing gun walking the aisles, just one click and the whole chain updates at once. Kroger and Walmart, two of the largest grocery footprints in the country, both went all in. Kroger didn't stop at the price tags either. It partnered with Microsoft to build displays that could add cameras to the shelves, technology capable of estimating a shopper's age and gender to serve up personalized offers as you walked past. By that August, 2 U.S. senators had seen enough. Elizabeth Warren and Bob Casey sent a public letter straight to Kroger's CEO, warning the technology could let the company do to groceries what Uber does to a ride home in a storm: spike the price the instant demand spikes. Milk and eggs, they warned, priced like airline seats. Cheap at 9 a.m. on a Tuesday, a lot less cheap at 6 p.m. on a Sunday, right when everyone actually needs to make dinner. Kroger's answer came back fast, and it was blunt. The company said outright that it had never engaged in surge pricing, that the whole point of the technology was to lower prices and cut labor costs, not raise them. Maybe that's true. Here's what isn't in dispute. That same year, the Federal Trade Commission opened a formal investigation, not just into grocery chains, but into an entire hidden industry of firms that help retailers set an individual price for an individual customer, based on your location, your browsing history, even the way your mouse moves across a page right before you decide to buy something. The early findings were about as reassuring as you'd expect. Personal data already being used right now to shape the exact price that shows up in front of you specifically. And here's the twist that makes this land differently than a normal scandal. Independent economists actually went and checked. They pulled hundreds of millions of transactions from a major retailer before and after the digital tags went in, hunting specifically for the surge pricing everyone was afraid of. They didn't find it. Not yet, anyway. So pick your level of cynicism. Maybe the fear got ahead of the facts and nothing's actually happening. Or maybe, and this is the part that should actually bother you, the technology to do exactly that is now fully installed, fully tested, and quietly running in thousands of stores you shop at every week. Sitting there, waiting. And the only thing standing between "we would never" and "the price just changed while you were standing in the aisle" is one decision, made quietly, in a boardroom you will never sit in, based on a memo you will never read. Nothing collapsed here, not the way you'd expect. No CEO went to prison. No company got shut down. The stock didn't crash. What collapsed was the story they'd been telling you for 100 years, that this was ever just a grocery store. So here's what I keep coming back to. Every part of that store, the smell, the lighting, the music, the exact height of the shelf, the exact direction you're forced to walk, all of it was reverse engineered from watching millions of real people to find out exactly what makes a human being spend money without ever deciding to. And it worked so well for so long that most of us walked through it our entire lives without once noticing we were being led. So ask yourself this. If a company can predict what you're going to buy before you've decided to buy it, sometimes before you even know something's changed in your own life, how much of what you call your choice actually belongs to you? And if it's been happening in a grocery store, quietly, for over 100 years, without most people ever clocking it, where else is it happening to you right now? Put your honest answer in the comments. I read every one of them. And if you want to see this exact same playbook running in your bank, your phone, and your favorite streaming app, subscribe, because that's exactly what we're taking apart next.